So you know how we've been playing anime music quiz a lot recently?
Yeah, unfortunately.
A little too much. I've really enjoyed playing solo just because I like listening to anime openings and endings that I like a
Mm-hmm.
lot. And I listen to them a lot on my regular as well. And you know how like you hear those openings and you just get like so excited. You're like, oh my god, it's that opening. I'm so happy to hear it. I haven't heard it in such a long time.
Oh yeah.
One of the series that happens to me is one of them is of course like I get excited when I hear like Fruits Basket openings, like
Mm-hmm.
duh. I also get excited for like magical girl ones. I'm like, I like these ones. I've also been super duper excited to hear the full moon opening and endings
Oh my
and insert
god.
songs because they have my favorite endings. I swear,
I
they're
really, really envy that you haven't watched a lot of anime because I don't get any of these openings when I play.
all of well, I mean, I also yeah, no, I haven't watched a whole lot compared to you, so that
Yeah.
is 100% what it is. I was
I
gonna say no, it's not it. Yeah, no, that's it.
It's like the closest to something I would regularly get on anime music quiz is like Noragami, but a lot of what I end up getting is just all the like slice of life random bullshit I end up watching that isn't even really my thing, but I watched it anyway because I will watch almost anything regardless if it's my thing or not. If it's dubbed and it pops up on like Crunchyroll, I'm like, all right, click, I'll watch that while I veg out or something. So I get a lot of those openings. I'm like, I don't even care about these openings. Can I get a full moon opening, please?
And then you get a full moon opening, but it's like they're both fun, but you
Mm-hmm.
get like your least favorite one of both of them, and you're like, I wish it was the other one, but I'm very excited to get this one.
I would at least be able to get it though, because I don't remember half of the slice of life openings and what they go to. I don't even remember half of the romance anime was the ones that and what they go to unless
Oh,
they really
oh,
stand out.
those are my specialty.
I know they are. Mine are all the shonen. I'm like,
I can get a lot of the shonen. I just mine. I can't get like fantasy at all. They
the
all sound the same.
the only like long running shonen one I struggle with is Bleach, and that's just because I've skipped so many openings in Bleach when it gets to the filler arcs later on. Because I just want to power through it. Because I tried to power through the rest of Bleach before Thousand Year Blood arc started.
Oh no, so Bleach is like if a song is from Bleach, I will 100% get it, like no cap. If it's Naruto or Naruto Shippuden, hell, there is like a 25% chance I'm gonna get it.
I'm goated on Shippuden. Naruto throws me a little bit, but that's because the beginning. I think they had an English only opening at one point,
They
and then
did, but I think it was just like grunting.
yeah, it was. But that means I don't.
Ugh,
That means I don't
ugh.
know the Japanese ones, you know. So, and same with like One Piece. Since I'm rewatching One Piece, I'm rewatching it in dub, and they dubbed the openings.
Oh yeah, they did. I like the
So
dub of the openings in One Piece.
yeah, so I'm like, I know the dub openings now for the earlier seasons because it's been so long since I've watched the originals, and I'm like, this doesn't sound like Big Manana. I'm sorry, I don't know who this is.
I don't know the second OP for Bleach in English like gets me so hype.
Yeah.
I'm like I'm ready to take on the world.
Oh my god. Bleach does have some fire openings though.
It really does. Definitely some of my favorites. I definitely have purposely made it my life goal to remember as many of them as possible.
Oh my god.
Um, but you know what else Bleach has?
What's that?
They have Shinigami, and that is what we are talking about today.
That is the vague topic of Shinigami that even anime doesn't get right.
That is true. That is true.
Uh, so I'll get into my nerdy portion here then because
Yes.
as someone that delves into mythology a lot,
Mhm.
we deal with a lot of personifications of death and such, and
Yeah.
all different matters of it. So Shinigami is like one of the weirdest, like oddly specific personifications of death, or not even a personification of death, because there's generally delved into like two different portions of what is considered death in most mythologies, because there's the personification of death itself, which is generally, something like Hades, like the masters of the underworld are generally considered death, or hell in Norse mythology. And then there's, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced this, psychopomps, which those are the ones that guide the souls of the dead, whether they're guiding them to heaven or hell or just the underworld in general. These are generally like the messengers that just carry the soul from the dead body to hell or to Hades or to wherever. Shinigami is generally classified as the personification that invites humans towards death or tempts them to death, or which Death Note gets this most accurate. They are generally the ones that do the killing. They encourage the I can't say the S word, but you know that they encourage people to off themselves, you know, come towards death.
Oh, that S word. I was like, what? Like slay? Like
yeah.
slay?
I don't know if YouTube's gonna nuke us for saying that 5 minutes into the episode, so I'm just gonna avoid it.
Oh no, you're good. I was just confused. I'm like, S word? What S word? Slay?
Yeah. So like one of the biggest incarnations of a Shinigami in like actual mythology for the Shinto religion, I suppose, would be Izanami, who is one of the creator deities that was known to give death. Like that was what she did. But in like the whole Buddhism sphere of that kind of religion mindset, you also have the personification of death, which is Yama, who is the like kind of gatekeeper to death, that just like writes off the checkbooks of like, okay, you're dead, you're going to heaven. You're dead, you're going to hell. Any anime fans or long-term anime fans would recognize him from DBZ, where he's literally at his desk, literally stamping books, or even in Yu Yu Hakusho, Kowinma, who is the son of Yama, is also writing off the books and sending people to heaven and hell. So even in Shinto and Buddhism religions and that Eastern religions, they have various hierarchies of death. And then when we have anime is like, yeah, everything involving death is a Shinigami. Have fun with that. So, because it was funny to me when I was looking this up that Yu Yu Hakusho was listed for a Shinigami. Because yeah, they had King Yama, which is the gatekeeper of death, basically. And then they have a character, without spoiling, named Botan, who identifies herself as the Grim Reaper, which I would assume Grim Reaper would probably be the closest to Shinigami, but Grim Reaper is still supposed to kind of a psychopomp, because there's more of the guide that takes you to death after you've already died. They take you to the underworld. They're not so much the one that does the killing, but you know, apples, oranges, same thing, right? So,
Yeah, they both are sweetie soury.
yeah. So we can do this the very like strict way and only talk about things that actually coincide with what a Shinigami is, or we can only go with everything that is considered a Shinigami in anime, or we can just go with everything that is under the death personification umbrella when we talk about this topic. It depends on how much we want to open it.
I'm okay with death as like an umbrella, but I think I everything I plan on wanting to talk about outside of things that you plan to talk about have all like explicitly called someone a Shinigami in the franchise.
Almost everything on my list. So I went a little further because I knew I'd probably have some things on here that you wouldn't. Because at first thought, I'm
That's
like,
fine.
okay, the first 5 come up. I know you probably are going to talk about them as well.
Yeah.
I delve a little deeper to get a few more, and then I got a couple that fit outside of that umbrella just a little bit, or just for like shits and giggles. But I also just have some stuff that's thrown in there where it just, like Naruto. Naruto had a Shinigami in it in one episode. The Shinigami appears in one episode. It's when the Leaf Village is being attacked during the Chunin exams, and it's a jutsu where, is it the third Hokage is sacrificing his life to take away Orochimaru's arms or whatever. Well, he's trying to take Orochimaru with him, but Orochimaru managed to get away with just losing his arms or whatever. But that is apparently listed as a Shinigami in anime. So, because it is the Grim Reaper that he summons. So,
Okay.
Grim Reaper, Shinigamis show up in anime all the fucking time, but whether they're the main focus or not is a
Whole
bigger
different story.
thing. Yeah. So, which one are we gonna start off with?
Which one do you want to start off with?
I mean, we can start off with the one that we started off with, which is Bleach.
Bleach.
One of the two top ones that come to mind when people think Shinigami, for sure.
Yeah.
So,
It's definitely my first forethought.
Yep.
But it's kind of always my first forethought.
Though this one be one where I don't think they really fit the mold of what a Shinigami is.
Oh, definitely. This is definitely one that had a lot of creative liberties.
Yeah. I mean, granted, Bleach deals with various forms of death or various religions of death in every mindset, doesn't it? Because, like, wasn't the Quincy's, like, Christianity, and then Hueco Mundo is the, oh my god, I'm not gonna try and speak Spanish, the Latin America version of death and whatever, and it takes a lot of its terminology from that as well.
You could definitely, yeah, I think so. There was a lot of themes with that, thinking back on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But it also was also a language thing too,
yeah,
because like the Quincy's have a lot of like German
right,
names as well.
right. It's a lot of symbolism as well, just because like a lot of the items
True.
that Oryu pulls out are basically a crucifix or rosaries
Or
and
cross
such.
or things
Yeah.
like that. There is a lot of cross imagery even in 1,000-Year Blood War.
Yeah. And then Hueco Mundo doing so much with the skulls and stuff, and that being a big thing for a Day of the Dead in Latin America.
Oh yeah.
So, and then of course you have the Soul Society, which is your Shinigamis, which is your Shinto religion, where everything in the Soul Society is built more around that kind of architecture as well. And a lot of symbolism within their swords and namings and stuff.
Yeah, and then I just think it's interesting how instead of kind of veering away from like the religion aspect, that it's not just like dealing with like, oh, we're not just like sending souls to the afterlife. We're also like defeating bad souls at the same time. Like it's kind of like those hand in hand, like there's two sides to the coin kind of deal job versus a lot of Shinigami you see it's very like, this is my singular role. This is my one thing I'm doing. But Bleach is kind of like, yo, I guide souls, but I also like fight monsters to also save their souls as well.
Right.
So
Which I wonder, because I don't know too much into like the lore of Bleach outside of what I've watched. But would it be like lower ranked Soul Reapers generally guide the souls, and then the higher ranked ones were the ones that did most of the fighting up against the I guess bad souls? Was that generally how it happened, or was it? Yeah, or was that just generally just how it worked in the story of things?
I think that's generally how it worked. There's not a whole lot of scenes of them guiding souls, because to be fair, most of the time you see Ichigo being the one performing consos.
Yeah, because we normally follow the stronger characters which are fighting, and but we don't really see a lot of the little menial no-name Soul Reapers are walking around, and when we do see them, they're generally like stamping the forehead with the sword and sending them on their way, kind of thing. So
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that is the case, just because the weaker characters are the ones who are probably going to die from the fights against Hollows, whether they're strong or not.
Right.
So it makes more sense that certain people might work more on like the, hey, interpersonal skills and let's guide you to a better place.
Right.
Which would also make sense because you kind of see that with Rukia in like the first early episodes too.
When she was still kind of considered a lower rank, I guess. Which she was a lieutenant, wasn't she?
No, she was unseated.
Oh yeah, no, the other dude was the lieutenant, because there wasn't a lieutenant yet, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's been so long since early Bleach. Oh my god, how long has Rukia arc happened?
It was like, because it was like ended in season 3. I don't know what season we're on now. We're on like season like extra.
Well, we're on season extra, but also what? Bleach ended like 10 years before 1,000
Yeah,
years?
it ended in 2013.
Yeah. So That's been at least a decade and a half ago, I would say.
Yeah, because I think it was around like 2006, 2005 that arc probably aired or
Yeah.
ended.
Oh god.
Oh God, I feel old now.
I don't want to hear that from you.
I mean,
Oh.
another year older.
Tomorrow, technically, yeah.
Woohoo! Oh, it's tomorrow. Cool. I knew it was like this week, but I couldn't remember which day.
Yeah. And you know what's really sad is Bleach was one of the like of the big three. It was the last one I got into.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it's the newest of the big three that I got into, I guess.
I'm getting into them reverse order. Like I'm like
Yeah.
earliest to the oldest, man.
Yeah, because well, Bleach Bleach came on at a different time slot, and Bleach was also a lot harder to watch out of order than
Yes.
One Piece and Naruto, which is why watching it on TV was a lot harder. If I couldn't dedicate to watch it every night, I wasn't gonna watch it because I would just be lost. So it wasn't until I was able to get my hands on the first box set that I was able to sit down and watch it. So that's why it's later for me, because Naruto you can jump in and they're doing ninja things, and Luffy's always doing Luffy things, so I can watch those whenever. Didn't really matter. Now it kind of matters, but
yeah, now it matters. But I do agree with you, because I remember I sat down and I watched, like, the first time I ever watched Bleach, it was like a random filler episode. It was like in the middle of the Bound arc, but I was still so freaking confused, and then I was even more confused when the two characters that were Shinigami that were in the filler arc, why they weren't more relevant when I was reading or watching later on.
God.
I was like, where's Shuhei and Izudu? Like,
Oh
what?
my God.
And like they're relevant, but they're not like main character relevant.
I'm still very, very angry about the Bound arc because I was buying the box sets, and then I knew the Bound arc was coming up, and I remember seeing some of the Bound arc on TV, and I was like, okay, well, at the time I listened to anime fans, which was my biggest mistake when I was a young anime fan, because they're like, oh, it's filler, you don't have to watch it, and I was like, okay, so when I buy the next box set, I'm not gonna buy this box set because it's Bound arc, so I'm gonna buy the next one. You know what the next one is? More Bound arc.
Yeah.
I was so mad. I was like, oh, well, I guess I might as well buy the other one now. And I went and bought the other one and went ahead and watched all the Bound arc, which I managed to actually power through it. Like, I binged watched both seasons for 2 reasons. One of them is one of the mod souls, and the other one is one of the bounce, because goddamn were they nice to look at.
Oh yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. For both of those, I'm like, yeah.
Yep. And I was like, okay, I can power through this. It's fine. It's fine. I have hot anime dudes to look at.
It's fine. You wanna know what's really sad? Is when because I first started watching the Bound arc, and I started the Bound arc before I started like really reading and getting to the Soul Society arc in Bleach.
Yeah.
So the main villain of the Bound arc, Jin Kariya, I think his name was. Because so in the 5th opening, they like had this like little like blackish whitish scene of Aizen like just kind of like flash momentarily.
Yeah.
I thought that was the filler arc villain. I didn't realize that was Aizen until like years later.
The betrayal of your husbando, I see.
That was before he was my husbando, though. Okay. That's when I like had like a fear of him. Did I ever tell you about that?
No.
Oh yeah, so I used to be like absolutely terrified of Aizen. Like I could not like look at him on a piece of paper. Like he actually like gave me like the chills and shivers, and it was so bad. Like I would have like I'm like I can't. He's creepy. I don't like him, and it was it was a whole thing like for like a whole year and a half, and then just eventually I was just like, you know, what if I'm into that? And then I'm like, okay, he's my favorite now.
I feel like that says a lot about not only your love life, but your taste in men.
Maybe? I don't know. But that is how that came to be. I remember I had like a scrapbook and we had to put things we liked and things we disliked on it. And I cut out a picture of Aizen and I put him on dislikes.
I'm gonna wait for the day when you say you're scared of somebody and I'm just gonna, oh, she's gonna like him later. It's fine. That's just gonna be my go-to.
You know what? Probably because if you were in like a media franchise and you scare the shit out of me, chances are you struck such an emotional like chord within me that I'm going to end up caring about you as a character because
Hmm.
I'm interested because you're making me feel something. It's like the characters that make me feel nothing that I'm like, all right, I don't care. I don't care. None of you. But like you make me feel something, whether it be fear, attraction, tears, anything. I'm like, okay, I like you.
I mean, that's fair because like that's one of my biggest pet peeves with things like isekais because
Mhm.
I say the characters are bad, but if they were bad, they would at least be entertaining. It's more that they're bad because they're nothing. They don't do
Yeah.
anything. They just exist, which is my biggest problem as someone that's very character driven. If you have a character that does not make me hate them or like them, then what are they? So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, no. I if I have a character and it's like and I really, really hate them, you better hope that there's some other redeeming quality to keep me around because like I will drop it at a flip of a hat.
Valid. So outside of Bleach, I guess the only other like major one that everyone would think of right off the bat with Shinigami is Death Note.
Yes,
Those
Death
are like
Note.
those are the two obvious, and that's the most true form of what a Shinigami is by definition, at least. So
Yeah, they're giant beings who drop notebooks into the world so you can kill people for them, right?
yes, and cause panic within like early 2000s when edgy emo kids want to go to school with a notebook that says Death Note on it, get
Oh my
arrested.
god. So can I tell you a story?
Oh God, I'm terrified. Go for it.
So, when I went to public school for the first time. I got set
Mhm.
at the weeb table. Like, I don't know. I guess I gave off weeb vibes. And looking back, yeah, I probably did. And they set me down at the weeb table, and I introduced them to Death Note.
Oh my God.
And they got so into it that one of the girls did, in fact, buy a Death Note at their local mall because one of our malls was selling Death Notes. She
Mhm.
brought it to school and she was very much writing people's names in the Death
Oh
Note.
no.
And she very much got suspended.
Yeah, that'll
and,
happen.
I just remember sitting there, I'm like thinking, and then seeing like that on like the news, but not like her case specifically, but like seeing like people talk about this happening. I just sat there, I'm like, this is my fault. This is all my fault. I should have
Oh
never
my God.
introduced them to Death Note.
Yeah, Death Note came out at a very like ten-
Impressionable age.
an impressionable age, but a very tense time in America as well.
Mhm.
Because they had just had a
The
Columbine
recession.
happen. We went very different ways with that.
We did. We did. Well, like my like Death Note awakening was like during the recession. So.
Yeah, but it came out around the time of that, and
Mhm.
all the edgy boys and all the edgy girls were trying to emulate that kind of energy, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was it involved a very cringy, dangerous subculture, I guess, into the anime community. My introduction to it was a little less traumatizing, I think.
Well, it wasn't my introduction to it. I was the one who introduced it to them. At
Yeah.
that point, I already knew what Death Note was.
Uh mine was Death Note was the first thing I'd ever watched in subtitled initially.
Oh.
So my first like major crush that I had met when I used to go hang out at the mall on the weekends or whatever, and he was
Hmm.
the guitar player for one of the local bands that performed at the skate park every weekend. God, that was a dark time in my life. Fuck.
You just also sent me back too, and I'm like, wow, we did the same things, but like had totally different vibes about them.
Yeah. But I was we were kind of dating in that like we're not serious, but like we're hanging out together a lot.
Hmm.
We hadn't even gotten to like the holding hands part or anything like that. Nothing lewd. But I would go over to his house and he showed me Death Note. And unfortunately, Death Note is now synonymous with the My Ding Ding Dong song, thanks to him as well.
What?
Do you not know the song?
I'm pretty sure if I heard it, I would because it
Ooh, my
sounds
tra la
familiar.
la, my
Oh
ding
yeah, I
ding
know.
dong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because we went from watching one of those episodes to him showing me that song, and I ended up helping him edit a video with that song for like a week straight between us
Wait.
watching Death Note episodes.
Was it like a Death Note edit too?
No,
Oh,
it
'cause I
was
think I've seen a Death Note edit with that song, and that's what my first brain.
it was far more petty than that. It's so he had a rival band or whatever. It was high school band drama or whatever, not high school band, but rock
Yeah.
band drama, where their old lead singer got a new band and they were talking shit or whatever.
Oh,
So
scandalous.
yeah, so we edited his face onto like some stick figures singing that song and posted it on YouTube.
Oh my god, that is such YouTube humor for that time.
Really was. um but yeah, we did that, and we were also watching Death Note, and I remember we got up into the point where Light got captive before me and him stopped talking to each other. So
Okay.
after that, it was just I ended up continuing it, but I continued it in dub. But yeah, that was the first time I'd ever watched an anime in subtitled. It obviously did not stick with me, so it was, I realized that was an avenue I can do. I can watch more anime if I watch in subtitled because dubs were not as frequent back then.
That
But
is true.
I went very quickly back to my roots as soon as that became available to me again.
Oh yes. Oh gosh, you just made me think. When I first read Death Note, because I read it first before watching it. It was because it was at those Shonen Jump magazine issues.
Mm-hmm.
My library had a ton of back issues, random issues thrown in a magazine comic pile.
Right.
And I remember I would just like pick them up and like I would just read like the preview manga because it was the only thing that started from chapter 1.
Mm-hmm.
And Death Note, that's how I found out about Death Note because it was one of them one time.
Okay.
And so I was like, "Oh, this is cool." And then I logged on the interwebs and tried to figure out how to read
Right.
it.
I feel like Death Note's the only one that shows a Shinigami not in like a human form for the most part as well.
Yes, I believe that is the case.
Yeah, because I'm looking at everything on my list that I've gotten written down, and almost all of these are very human form. Well, actually, no. I take that back. There's one.
One.
There's one.
There's one. I think it's the same one I'm thinking of.
Possibly, but granted, still, it's one exception in that anime.
Yes. Yes.
Because the rest of them in that anime still have a human form. So.
Yep. Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we're talking about the same one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, then, should we just segue into Soul Eater? I would have laughed if that wasn't the one you were talking about.
No, it was Soul Eater. No, 100%. Because it was so funny. Because like, oh, and at the same time is when I had the same thought. I'm like, yeah.
I was like, because when I think Soul Eater and like Shinigami, I don't think of death. Because death, again, is the personification of death. He isn't the Shinigami. The Shinigamis are, I don't know if the Shinigamis would be the kids, the weapon meisters, or if they would be the actual weapons themselves.
Both could be good because
Fair.
I think like in combination they are.
Yeah. I don't know. It's fucking Soul Eater is just weird, on a lot of fronts.
It is weird. It's definitely creative.
It's very artistically creative as well. Like
Yes.
just like from a visual standpoint.
Yeah, it's really beautiful to flip through, and I remember it stood out, and that's why I always remembered it because it was like, oh, this looks cool. It looks edgy, but without being like super edgy, you know.
Oh no, we have this might be a thing of very different groups because I feel like for me Soul Eater is super edgy, but I think it's mostly because I associate Soul Eater with the super edgy kids that I hung around with at cons that were just like, Death the Kid is the best thing either ever. He holds his guns and pulls the triggers with his pinky, and I'm like, y'all need a life. please.
Yeah, it's I didn't have a group like that. So everything I heard about like Soul Eater was like from like Guy Online.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But I like started the middle of like Soul Eaters, but
Hmm.
it was like all the main like few character like it was like the section like right after like the individual character introductions.
Right.
It was like the first like kind of arc. They're still introducing things and setting things up. Like that was like the beginning or like the middle of that, or towards the end of, I guess, middle end of that arc
Yeah.
was the first thing I found out about that series. And I was like, wow, this looks edgy, but like the art's not like so edgy that it combined like not necessarily cute. I don't know. It was just like, to me, it was like a different style that was
Hmm.
like, okay, this has like a little bit of an edgy style, but it's not so far out of the realm of edgy. Because at this point, I'm still like very in like sojo bubble.
Right.
Yeah, except for like maybe Bleach. Um, so to me, it was like, oh, it's just a stretch from like my sojo bubble,
Hmm.
and it art wise, but it still has like an edge where I can tell it's something different.
Right. Now, for me, Soul Eater is I think the first anime that had a scene that actually made me uncomfortable. Like,
Oh.
uh, and it's one I don't get to talk about anymore because anytime you bring up Soul Eater's ending, people are like, "Don't talk to me." But the ending of the anime, and this is a main reason I don't think I've ever will be. I want to read the manga because I want to see more of my favorite character, and I know what happens to my favorite character later on to a degree, but I don't think anything could ever beat the scene. The scene where is it Ashura?
I'm not gonna lie, I never finished the Soul Eater anime, but I don't care if you spoil it, so I have
Okay.
no idea.
You didn't read the manga either.
I what I did is I skipped to read the final chapter.
Okay.
And I barely I could not tell you what the fuck was happening.
Okay. So spoiler warning for those in chat. I'll put the timestamps for the end of this.
In
But
chat,
for well, fucking comment section, whatever. You know what I mean. You know what I mean.
all right, guys, gotta start a chat room under in the comments.
I mean, I can put this as a live feed thingy. Um, but so the main bad guy that's introduced at the end of the anime, at least, is I guess I don't remember if he's supposed to be a Meister or whatever or some kind of demon. It's been over a decade since I've watched this, but he's like trapped in a bag of his own flesh, basically, and he's Medusa's on her way to like unseal him or whatever. And when she unseals him, he basically claws his way out of the bag, and there's the way they animate like his fingers like gripping at the floor and like meticulously like twitching and trying to get a feel for reaching his bones through his own skin to form again and be able to move, and it's unnerving. It is extremely unnerving to watch. And little teenage year old me was like, they animated this. This is extremely like uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And it's a very very long screen, and then when he finally comes out of the bag, he just starts screaming at the top of his lungs like this high pitched wail of a like fear, and it's not even like manic or anything. It's like straight bone chilling fear scream coming out of this creature that you're supposed to fear. You're supposed to be scared of him, and then he's screaming out of fear, and you're just like, what the fuck is happening? That was absolutely amazing. And granted, the way they ended that episode kind of discounts a lot of everything involving that character, but the manga apparently does it differently. I don't know. I don't think I could read it if they don't have that kind of animation set to it, because that was peak animation for me. Is like, it's terrifying to watch. It was horrifying. I I want to rewatch it now. Never mind.
I I do have to say that the manga and the anime art, while you can tell like they're the same art, like they're still very
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Like I would say that the art in Fire Force is a lot closer to the art in the anime of Soul Eater
Yeah.
than it
Which is,
is
I think the
the actual
biggest,
Soul Eater.
it's the biggest argument most people have against not wanting a Soul Eater reboot or a remake, because that anime style is so iconic with the anime itself that they would have to get the same animation style to be able to pull back that audience, because if they tried to go with more the manga thing, I don't think it'd be as much of a success. So,
You know what they also anime they also said that about? Fruits Basket.
Yeah, but that's because the Fruits Basket people were fucking weird. Like I don't understand that, because I love Fruits Basket. I love the manga. I was okay with the adaptation after I read the manga, but like the bug-eyed anime style was not going to hold up, and that while it's
No,
not, it's
it
nice,
wasn't.
it's you have to look at that at a critical eye and be like, no, this can definitely use improvement.
Oh yeah, I don't think anyone was mad about the art change announcement.
Oh
But I think
no.
like that was like the argument people made forever ago, and I was just kind of like, okay,
Yeah, that's just brain dead purists. Like, oh no, they'll ruin the art style. I'm like, nah. There's so many ways they can improve the art style. Please let them reboot this.
nah, because like even the manga art style changes throughout. But anyways, that's a whole different
Whole different
story.
episode.
um, let's see here.
What
You
else
know,
we
I
got?
don't know. So kind of going with like still pretty popular shonen. I
Mm-hmm.
talked this was it last episode or the episode before as my like uh
Rinne.
vibe check? Yeah, Rinne.
I knew that one was gonna come.
Yeah, I was like, oh well. It was funny because I was looking. I'm like, oh right, yeah, he is a Shinigami
Yep.
technically, and his grandmother because he's like, but their like whole thing is like using like tricks and magic, but there's costs to them, and it's like a whole. What's the word? It's like a whole economy to pass on essentially, and you're just like the absolute fuck. You
Yeah.
mean we don't get to escape this shit when we die?
Nah. It's cycle of life and death.
Yep.
Same thing.
But that one was pretty cool. That one it has like a lot of tricks and gimmicks. But it kind of it's not like the same as like battling and like saving.
Mm-hmm.
It can be, but it's done so more in like a yokai way than it is in like a evil spirit that I made up into a fictional, well, my own kind of mythical creature
Yeah.
versus actual like mythical creature inspired
Okay.
monsters.
I almost tried to pick that up again this week. Because I was like, yeah, actually, I do remember watching a couple episodes, but I never like finished with it. High Dive only has season 3.
Yeah,
Like, you bitch.
I've been reading on the Viz manga app, and I'm just I'm on chapter 20, and I haven't moved since there because I decided to go back to One Piece.
Oh my goodness. Fair though. Yeah, nah, it's one that I've been wanting to pick up. It's just, I guess, finding it somewhere. Also, I don't think it's dubbed, so
It does have DVDs out though. I
yeah.
will say that. Wait, is it not on High Dive? Or is it only
Season 3 is only on High Dive.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
you did say that. Okay. I couldn't remember which platform you said, and for some reason it was like, no, she didn't say High Dive. She said some other random platform that I've never heard of before in my entire life.
I think it might be on Crunchy. I'm not sure. I like Crunchyroll. I don't venture on there as much because High Dive has this nice little button at the top that just says dubs, and I can just click on it and see everything that has a dub on it. So
That is a nice. I need to use that button a whole lot because half the reason I'm like, I don't want to watch that because I don't want to have to like pay attention. But I don't want to go on Netflix because I don't like the Netflix selection for dub anime because it's either stuff I've already seen or stuff I don't want to see.
yeah. I
So
mean, the
I'm like,
Netflix selection in general is just not good
not
at all.
not good.
They have like 2 good anime on there, and the rest of it's just rehashing things you've probably already seen.
That or it's like very low budget versions
the
of the
Netflix
anime.
budgets.
Yeah, like Ricker Ragnarok and Slideshow and like
Yeah.
the Way of the House. Well, Way of the House has been I will put on and totally enjoy that dub, but they're such short episodes that you're like, oh right, that was an hour of my time. Now I gotta find something else to watch. Crap.
Right.
So it's like, dang it, I need something longer. But not something I have to pay full attention to, but can still get maximum enjoyment.
Right.
And not an isekai.
Good luck finding that in this day and age.
I know.
One day we'll hit the like downfall of isekais. It's gotta come eventually.
It's gonna come soon. I think it'll come sooner than
We've
later.
been saying it's gonna come soon for like the past 6 years and it hasn't come yet, so.
You can definitely tell that it's slowing down though. Okay, I'm gonna say it's slowing down on the shonen side, I should say.
I don't even know about that because it's still a lot of isekais coming out. It's just I think, and do not take this out of context for me. The quality of them is dropping. For whatever quality there is, the quality is dropping because even the isekai fans are like, "What do you mean a vending machine got reincarnated into a dungeon?"
I already know exactly how I'll take it out of context.
I'm aware,
Cyan
but
said isekais were good, but the quality has dropped. You hear it here first, folks.
I'm ending this podcast. We're done. It's episode 6. This is our final episode. Y'all have a great night, folks.
Mwah.
God damn it. But you know what I mean, though. Like,
Yeah, I know what you actually mean.
Yes.
I can't take past an opportunity to
I
tease you.
know, but I don't know any other way to word it, you know? Because we've gotten reincarnated into a sword, reincarnated into weird chick's dog, that whatever.
Okay, that one makes me uncomfortable.
That
I don't
one
like
makes
that one.
everybody uncomfortable.
I'm like, that's just no.
I have not heard anybody say that show does not make them uncomfortable.
I have. I've seen people who are like, I really like this, and I'm like, block.
Concern. God. Okay, what's our next Shinigami anime?
You pick.
All right, well we brought up Magical Girl. Let's talk about Full Moon.
All right, yeah, Full Moon, let's go.
The Magical Girl series that like a lot of people don't really think of as Magical Girl because it's not fighting crime. Magical
she's
Girl.
not fighting against things.
Yeah, so the premise of Full Moon, and this is gonna be spoilers for the first episode, but it's about a 12-year-old girl who wants to become a singer, but she has a tumor in her throat. And if she has the tumor removed, there's a chance she'll lose her singing voice, so she doesn't want to go through the surgery of it, blah, blah, blah. She still wants to be a singer, and if she doesn't get to sing, I guess she wants to die. I don't know. But then 2 Shinigami pop into her room and tell her that she's got a year left to live or whatever. And they see her determination to become a singer before she dies after they reveal that, and then they give her the power to turn into a 16-year-old healthy version of herself so she can become a pop star. So that she can sing, so that her voice will eventually reach the her childhood friend that she loves.
Yep, and then that way she has no qualms when they take her soul a year.
Yep.
Yep.
Very, very happy-go-lucky anime with very dark undertones. Amazing soundtrack.
Oh god, the music is
2 of the most adorable Shinigami you'll ever see.
Oh yeah, and sexy. Why are you quiet on that? Like, have you not? There's doji. There's official dojins.
I'm aware. I was trying to, so my brain was going down the road of like, no, I don't want to. I won't spoil the ending, but his actual identity thing. And then you said and sexy, and my brain's just like, my poor baby. And you're like sexy, and I'm like, oh, right, yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's that too. But like it is a very emotional journey, and that's why I like it.
It really
But
is.
but yeah, the outfits I think are really cool. I think it's a really unique take on Shinigami too.
Mm-hmm.
Um because essentially the only way in Full Moon, this is spoilers for full, this is actual spoilers for like middle of the series, end of the series.
Uh-huh.
The only way to become a Shinigami in Full Moon is if you unalive yourself.
Yep.
Yep. So
Uh,
so all the Shinigami you meet are all people who have done that.
so I initially got into the series thanks to AMVs.
Yep. Yeah.
I remember so Full Moon it came in one of those one-off DVDs that I got in like New Type where I had one episode or two episodes on the DVD to introduce you to the series and then you could go buy it at your whim or whatever. So I
Mhm.
remember watching the first episode on there and I was like, "Oh, this is a cute premise." Never watched it again. And then I found the world of AMVs and I remember there was this one AMV and again, this is gonna be spoilers, but it's also like you only gonna know if you know. In the AMV for this anime, you have like her singing, and then all of a sudden there's a guy on a motorcycle driving off a cliff, and then a few minutes scenes later, she's crying on a grave. And my brain was like, I need to figure out how all this connects, and then I binge watched the entire series.
Mhm.
Um,
You would I have a question.
mhm,
Have you ever read the manga?
yes.
Okay, okay. So you do know that they're different. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I know
I
they're different.
Yeah, because you're like you said the motorcycle. I'm like, huh? Because I've read the manga more than I've like watched the anime, and I'm like,
Does
oh, so that's how. That's right.
does
That's
the anime not cover that? I thought it did.
no, no. The anime does, but like the manga it's done differently.
Oh, okay.
Like for any I think the only individuals where it was the same was Izumi and Morocco.
Okay. Cause
Well, actually, Izumi's was a little was the same, but there were like details changed.
yeah. I think the only thing I remember being different from the manga was you got a little bit more detail on her parents than you
Yes,
did in the
you
anime.
got a lot.
Yeah.
No,
So,
you got more like confirmed details, but you got to see them more in the anime.
yeah. Um which that's really really cool cuz I again I watched the first episode and like, "Oh, this is happy go lucky. It's like I'm it's not going to be my thing." And then I watched the A and B, and I'm like, okay, never mind. This shit got dark. Who the fuck is dead? Um, the answer to that is almost everybody. But yeah, that was an amazing series. So
With this, the funny thing is this is one that I didn't have any precursor to. I went in completely blind because I
mhm.
picked it up randomly at my local library, and they had every volume,
Oh
and it
my
was there.
gosh.
So I just read like the whole thing, and I just remember like absolutely crying and falling in love with Arena Tanemura.
So I also read this at from my local library. This was one of the few mangas that they had. So
Hmm.
I never owned it, which 90% of the time, if I've actually finished a manga, it's because I read a physical volume of it. Which is why I've never finished Skip Beat or anything. But yeah, Full Moon was at my local library when they had all the manga in the child section.
Yeah.
Until I pointed out that they need to move it, which I can explain that later.
That's okay if you do. I have a story to go along with that.
Yep. So yeah, that was the thing. But no, I went in, checked out 3 books at a time, which was unfortunate because I can read one of
Oh.
those manga volumes at like
Oh,
uh
and the way volume 3 ends too. You poor soul.
oh,
Oh.
I was making multiple trips a day. My local library at the time was literally like a block from my house.
Oh, okay.
So luckily I would check out books first thing in the morning, read them, and then I could go in and go check out more in the evening. It was never a matter of like, oh, I have to wait like a few days to go check them out again. So I was able
Yeah.
to read pretty quickly.
Yeah. I was that asshole kid who like would grab like absolute piles of books.
Mhm.
Like I would check out the entire flippin' series. But the thing is I would read it too.
Yeah.
Like, if
Well,
I had the stamina to read now that I did as a kid, holy shit.
so our local library, I think they had a lot of problems with people not returning books because they had a trust system that you had to build up. So when you first get your library card, you can only check out 2 books. And then they eventually graduate you to 3. And then if you're on time with all your returns and stuff, then you can get up to 5 and then further and further. With the exception of academic books, at least. If it was stuff you needed for school in their academic section, you could check out more. But yeah, they had a very strict, like, you could only get so many books at a time until you had good graces with them.
So, it's really funny that you talk about good graces, because how I actually fell out of good grace with my library is because I was moving and I forgot to return volume 3 of Full Moon to the library.
Oh my god.
It was in my grandfather's car.
Oh Lord.
So, and he never noticed it until, like, they charged me for the book, and then he returned it.
Oh my god.
So, and the worst part is that was my favorite volume, which is why I had it, because I rechecked it out when I was rereading it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't know why. Like, I don't know where this book is, because my parents were yelling at me. And my grandpa's like, months later, it's like, I found this weird Japanese book
Oh my god.
in my van, and it had the library sticker on it. So I took it back, and I'm like, thanks, Grandpa.
Nice. Well, at least he wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna give it back to you and let you deal with it and wait more days.
Nah, he was a frequent library goer. He is the audiobook connoisseur there.
Lovely.
And vandal. I will say he's also the audiobook vandal.
Oh boy. Okay, so speaking of like libraries then, unless you have more to add on the full moon thing.
I could talk about Full Moon for absolute days, for like way more Shinigami. I could talk about how that show destroyed me, and and the music. I could talk about the music. We could sing together.
We are
could
not
sing the
singing.
song.
We are not singing. I love Eternal.
Let's sing a song.
No. And you would pick that one of all. My first go-to would be fucking Eternal Snow, and you're
No,
gonna go.
that was my go-to, but like I felt like that felt the situation better.
Oh my god.
But no, as I pulled that lyric, but no, I 100% Eternal Snow would be my go-to as well.
Yeah. But no, so the reason my library had to move their manga section outside of the kids section was because they also had Descendants of Darkness, which is also a Shinigami anime in a way, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But it is also a yaoi.
Ooh la la.
It is a yaoi that we do not have the final volume for, unfortunately, ever, which is very depressing. It is the I initially had watched this as an anime, and then I saw that there was a manga at the library, and I got it, and then it gets way more in depth with the yaoisms than the anime ever did. And I had to go up to my library and tell her, hey, these manga things you have in the kids section, they should probably at least be moved to the teen. And she's like, but they're like comic books. And then I opened a page and showed it to her, and she's like, oh my god. I'm like, yeah. And she's like, are they all like this? And I'm like, no, but you do have a couple of them over there that are. And she's like, I'll just move them all. I'm like, yeah, that's probably for the best. But yeah, so Descendants of Darkness follows essentially. I'm gonna forget the terminology because I'm too lazy to look it up. They follow like it's like a business detective agency type thing where they're all
like a private investigator.
Private investigators, yeah. They search out abnormalities within the human world. So like if somebody that was supposed to die isn't dead, or somebody that is on the books that says they're dead and they're still in the human world, they go and investigate what's going on, whether it's like necromancy or somebody prolonged their life, or whatever the fuck is going on, and they go search it out, and they handle the situation as such. Some of them have various different kinds of magical powers. Our main senior investigator does like summoning. He summons what would be the 4 cardinal summons that is used a lot in anime, which is Byaku, Suzaku, Genbu, so on and so forth. And he summons those, and they do this thing. But you go through it, and he was originally a human, and he has some very dark history with how he died and such. But he is partnered with a new Shinigami, or somebody who has recently died, who is also still kind of coping with their own death at the hands of like the main bad guy from the series throughout the entire show. And they get through it together, you know, proper like
properly.
Properly. But yeah, their backstories are pretty dark. But apparently, like, that's the whole thing with becoming a Shinigami, is if your death was very traumatic, you have the option to become a Shinigami to help you cope with your death instead of moving on to the other world or something or other. The manga kind of ends with them just kind of learning a bit about each of the characters' past, where the manga goes a little bit further into the new Shinigami, Hisoka, going to the spirit lands and getting his own summons and stuff and making his own packs, and it kind of ends there because we don't get the last volume, sadly. But it's a good series. The yaoi isn't like very explicit. There's just a lot of, oh my god, he's pressed against the wall and his leg is between his leg, and he's saying very dark and twisted things that can be taken out of context very easily in his ear, kind of things.
So it sounds like I need to read this right now.
It's really good.
Let me pull it up right now, and as you tell me about it, let me just start reading chapter 1. You think I'm joking? I'm pulling it up right now.
As long as you're not watching the dub, like most.
I was gonna read it.
Yeah, like, this is my Vampire Night. Do not watch the dub. There are some amazing voice actors in this show. Don't get me wrong. Hisoka and I forget the other main dude's name. Both greatly dubbed voices. Then they have these little bird creatures. Don't know why they decided to dub them that way. They're one of them sounds like they're trying to be a 3-year-old child, and the other one sounds like they're trying to be Vegeta. And then the main bad guy, they gave him some sort of accent that is a mix between like 5 different accents and tried to make him sound as flamboyantly gay as possible. Just in case you weren't sure it's gay, they made sure they sounded that way.
Okay.
But Hisoka's voiced by one of my favorite voice actors of all time, so I will still watch the dub just because I've already been tortured to it, but I never suggest it to anybody else.
I guess I'm not gonna read it right now because it's not on the platform I thought it was on.
Damn, cockblocked. Literally.
For real.
It's a fun series though. Again, just aggravating that we don't get the conclusion to the story.
Well, legally at least.
Is it even illegally?
I mean, I don't know. I haven't looked. So.
Yeah, I think even, I don't know. Everywhere I've looked, I always just see up to volume 11. So no telling.
I swear I've seen it like on a stream, like a reading platform recently.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm like, I was surprised it wasn't there, but I don't.
I feel like we end up looking this up almost every fucking time we talk about this.
Look it up, but like, no, like, I mean, like, because I've been like recently going through reading platforms.
Mm-hmm.
and I thought I saw it. I was like, oh, cool, I could read it here. But you know what? Maybe I was just seeing I could purchase the volumes. That could have been it. Like the digital volumes.
Oh, it's actually 2 volumes that are missing. It's 12 and 13 that are missing.
Boo.
They do have.
Oh no, I remember why. I remember why what I saw it from. Some of the volumes I think are getting reprinted. That's what it was.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm looking this up again. So 12 and 13 have Japanese release dates. But 13 does not have anything listed. Like under 12 it lists the chapters. But under 13 they don't list anything.
Oh. It is on like a permanent hiatus, that's why. It never actually finished. It was on hiatus.
Okay.
And it never came back because was on hiatus in like
Yeah.
2002.
I feel like we end up looking this up every time this anime has gotten brought up in our
we've
conversation.
looked up the volume count, but I think this is the first time we realized it was on hiatus.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know that until just now, and I just looked it up.
But I feel like it's every time I'm like, oh yeah, there's no 2 volumes, and then you're like, no, they're just not English. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure they're not at all.
No, this time I knew for sure. No, but it was more like I swear to God, I saw them available.
Yeah.
No, it's to read.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I was excited because I was like, oh my God, I can read this with ease. I guess.
Yeah.
I guess I'm delusional.
Just not. We'll never get the ending of it. It's like Nana. It's just forever gone.
Pretty much.
Why is actually so? 3 mangas I read early in my anime days, which would be Nana, Full Moon, and Descendants of Darkness, and Full Moon is the only one that I actually finished.
Full Moon was also the shortest.
Descendants of Darkness is only 13. Well, 11.
Well, Full Moon's 7.
Is it really only 7?
Yeah.
I felt like longer than that.
Yeah. It feels so like Arena Tanemura like has perfected the cramming so much in a chapter that it feels so much longer than what it actually is.
It also might feel longer because I watched the anime more than I read the manga.
Yeah, the anime is much longer than the manga. Because the anime has a lot of, we would call it filler now, but it's not.
It's
really...
anime only.
Yeah, it's anime only content. I wouldn't necessarily call it filler.
Yeah.
So because it's very enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
All right. Next Shinigami anime.
So this is not really a Shinigami anime. More so, I think there's a Shinigami character.
Mm-hmm.
Is it? Yeah. Black Butler.
Oh, there's multiple Shinigamis in that one.
Yeah. Well, it's been a while for me, so I know Grell is one.
Yeah, Undertaker is also one.
Oh, right.
And then there's like a whole organization of very hot men that are also Shinigamis, or Grim Reapers.
Yeah. So, man, it's been a while since I've revisited Black Butler.
One day I'll finish it, maybe.
It's ongoing.
It is, but one day I'll I am, as far as the anime is.
Yeah, and the anime is like a full solid. Well, the current arc is really long.
Yeah. Which I think is why there's not anime for it.
Yeah, because there's you do not want an anime original ending for this. Like whatever's cooking right now is like it's cooking. It is cooking.
Yeah, I think they're waiting for arcs to finish before they do anime, because that's what they did with the circus arc. Was it finished? And they're like, okay, well, here's the anime of it.
And then they did the same with Book of Atlantic, which that's the one that I was like super excited for, and I still haven't seen.
Yeah,
because I remember I really liked the Book of Atlantic arc in Black Butler, but I'm so far behind still. Not far, but I'm behind in Black Butler as well. So
it is enjoyable. I mean, granted, we did almost have an anime only ending for that, and the entire community rioted against season 2. So it's not like they didn't attempt it, and then they were like, "Yeah, psych, we didn't do that." Pretended
I still haven't watched season 2.
I still love it.
I probably won't just because though I just didn't care for that one character.
Yeah.
From like MVs and clips. I just like nah. But I will. I still haven't finished Book of Circus. I think it's still literally listed as like currently watching on my list. And mind you, I started watching it when it was coming out. So
No, I loved Circus so much.
Circus was good.
Yeah.
Circus was when I think it was starting to like heat up and change. Like the whole not so much like heat up, but more like how like there was a shift in kind of like writing, I think.
Yeah. Can we just like talk about Grell's introduction though? And since this is the Shinigami episode and our first introduction
Yes.
to a Shinigami, that was I remember watching this in like my very very early otaku days, and like this was gonna be my first cosplay. And yeah, you're introduced, and this is spoilers for season 1, I guess. But you're introduced to Madame Red and her quote unquote butler, Grell, who is like very nerdy, very bad at everything, just simps over Sebastian this entire time. And then you find out Madame Red's the actual bad guy the entire time, and the butler is this very flamboyant god of death that just like puts on extended eyelashes, puts on the glasses, dyes their hair, and comes out with this giant ass chainsaw. Like
That was a whiplash slap in the face kind of character
really
reveal.
was. And like the fact that he just turns on Madame Red because Madame Red wanted to get rid of Sebastian. He's like, no, I love Sebastian. Fuck you, bitch. And just cuts her in half. And then he gets downgraded to a pair of scissors after that, which is kind of funny. But yeah, that's
I mean, it works out because the scissors end up being terrifying later.
yeah.
So.
They work really well because, granted, one of the Shinigami in that series has a lawnmower for a death scythe, so the scissors are fine. But
I forgot about that. Oh my god, yeah. How did I forget about that? 'Cause that's just like iconic in its own way. It's just like, I'm gonna fuck you with my lawnmower. I'm gonna go to work tomorrow. That's what I'm gonna think when I look at the lawnmowers tomorrow.
Good
Thank
job.
you.
You're welcome. But like the way the Shinigamis work in that world is when they end their life, like they see basically their entire memories come out in like a film roll.
Yes.
So like the scissors, like, or you cut it up or whatever and take that or whatever the fuck they do with it. So that was his whole thing of like, the scissors make sense because you just cut the film roll, you know.
But that's like terrifying in its own way, man. Like,
yeah.
I remember like that like creeped me out when I was first reading it because I was just like life is like a giant film and someone can just snap it.
Yep.
So easily. And I was just like, damn, that's good metaphor.
Yeah. Also, the fact that they made them basically Jack the Ripper. I don't know what it is, but I love when anime takes a alternative history note of Jack the Ripper, since that's the big serial killer that we never got answers on, and that's just always left ambiguous so people can take it however they want. And every anime that I've seen that has done a Jack the Ripper take has been more fucked up than the last, and I love it. It's so great.
Yeah, no, they're progressively getting more fucked up. I do agree.
My favorite one is the Fate Jack the Ripper.
That one I have yet to see.
Don't Google it. First and foremost, so I won't get judged.
I mean, I purposely don't Google anything Fate.
It's just you will judge me heavily. But for the Fate one, and this is a slight tangent. The Jack the Ripper is the accumulation of all the fetuses that were dumped into the river after the Jack the Ripper or from all the sex workers in the city, and became an entity that was just looking for a mother and just ended up chopping up women because they didn't want to be their mother.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, I can see that, but
yeah, it's really like fucked. And so the Jack the Ripper in Fate is a small child essentially, and is always seen with like a woman because it's almost always attaches itself to a woman. It's just like, oh, you're gonna be my mom. Oh, you don't want to be my mom anymore, then you die.
Bye bye.
Just we just ignore what it looks like. But yeah, so I love Jack the Ripper stereotypes and the fact that Madame Red and Grail were Jack the Ripper in that case. I want to cosplay Madame Red actually. I don't want to do Grail. I want to do a Grail and Madame Red.
I think both of those. I've never seen a bad Madame Red cosplay, but then again, the bad ones are probably ones I just didn't recognize.
You don't really see Madame Red cosplays, like they're very rare. So I figure like the ones that do it well. Because when you get Black Butler cosplayers, it is Sebastian, Grell, or CL.
Yeah.
And then every now and then you might see an Undertaker.
Ooh, but the Undertakers are always really good too, though.
The Undertakers always get into the role, and every Undertaker I've met has the coffin and just starts going on manic laughing trips out of nowhere. I love it.
Every time I've seen an Undertaker cosplayer, they remind me of those, like, you know that Bungo Stray Dogs like TikTok line where they're
goes on like that, like TikTok.
You know, there was like this big like TikTok like anime phase, and it was like a Bungo Stray Dogs line where he's going like so that the people who I see those videos who make those videos, like that's always been like the personality of the people who I see cosplay Undertaker, if that makes any sense to anyone.
I'm gonna leave it to the audience to understand what the fuck you're talking about, because I have no clue.
I'm gonna find you a TikTok.
I am not gonna click on it. I refuse. The only reason I exist on TikTok is to upload things for this podcast, and I don't look at anything else.
Oh, so that means I can just like log on and like start liking stuff. Is that what you're doing?
As long as it's anime related, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it would be. We'll fix our algorithm.
Yeah. I went through and followed a few people on there.
I noticed. I was like, oh, okay.
I was like, oh, industry people have TikTok. Sure, I'm not gonna watch them, but let's follow them.
I definitely accidentally like, because I logged into it one time and I forgot I was logged into it. And I just like started like scrolling through TikToks, been like, wow, I'm not seeing my regular people. It's just a lot of anime. I'm like, not that I'm complaining. Oh.
I was
with our Twitter too.
I was tired of going onto the TikTok, and every time I log into it, it's just I get this really cringy video of some chick in short shorts doing some weird dance, and I'm like, if I follow things, will I stop seeing this? I would rather see cringe anime stuff as soon as I log in than whatever she's about to do with her butt, because I'm not here for it. So I started following stuff.
Yeah, the main reason I use TikTok now is I check daily for the manga restock update.
Alright. So next Shinigami anime.
Your turn. Because I only got one more, and it's a manga. So
okay. So this one's gonna be more on the psychopomp side of things, of like a guide, but Hellgirl.
Oh, okay.
So Hellgirl's a series where if you want revenge on somebody that's wronged you, you can go into the website at midnight, type in their name, and then the Hellgirl will exact the revenge and take them to hell. But you also like sign your own soul down to hell to do it. Very episodic, but they get very creative in the way that they get the revenge, because they don't just like kill the people, they just straight up like, we're gonna torture you for like 20 minutes of this episode and make you regret your life before we kill you. But yeah, there's a whole overarching story of who the Hellgirl is and her connections with other people and who her little servants are. That goes into the different seasons, but that is the gist plot of it. So she's kind of a Shinigami. She's not really death, because there is a overarching power over her. So I'm assuming that's death. But she is like the guide to she's often seen in the boat with the dead person taking them to the other world. Very very cute Shinigami there. Very adorable.
Yeah, she kind of is a Shinigami, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind
I've
of
only
kind
watched
of
like a few episodes of it, but like none of you have pointed out. I'm like, yeah, you're right.
yeah, it's kind of about as close as you can get, I guess. Outside of the like this is again one of the ones that's like it's under the umbrella of the anime umbrella for it. But I haven't watched that in a long ass time. There's one season,
Neither
of course, you don't
have I.
have to watch, but
Last time I watched it was Anime Club.
fucking anime club, man. You know
Anime
what's
Club wasn't
funny?
that long ago for me though.
You know what's really funny is anime club for me was in the local college for
Yeah,
my area, but I didn't attend the college. I just went to the club.
a lot of people. Actually, a lot of that happened a lot at the one I went to too.
That did not happen a lot at the one I went to because I would go up there and I'd show up and we'd sit there and talk and stuff, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we have class in the morning," and I was like, "Yeah, have fun with that." And they're like, "When do you have classes?" And I'm like, "I don't." They're like, "Wait, what?" And I'm like, "I don't attend here." Like only one person there knew that I didn't attend the college, and then like everyone else just slowly found out, and they just assumed I was doing something. And then it came time for like graduations, and they're like, "Oh, when are you graduating?" I'm like, "Never." I'm stuck here.
I graduated like 3 years ago. What are you talking about?
I graduated in 2006 from high school, and I've never been back. Um, yeah, so I was not an attendee of the school. I was just an attendee of the club, and it was
No, I had to, in order to go to this club, I had to move across the state, so I
God.
had to go to the school.
Oh God. Yeah, no, I just showed up. I always had to show up with the one person that knew I didn't attend because you have to use like the student pass to get into the rec room or whatever that they use
Yeah.
for it. Otherwise, I
No,
couldn't
it
access
was
the building.
no, it's the same thing for that. You could there was ways to get up to that room without passes, but
Mm-hmm.
certain areas would get locked off.
I would just wait for somebody and follow them in if I needed to. If I,
Yeah.
for whatever reason, I couldn't show up with the one person because the person I showed up with was one of the organizers or whatever, and they would plan their anime club events to go to local cons. Like, okay, everyone that wants to go to the con, sign up for the list and put your money in, and we'll get the hotel room. Blah blah blah. And I never attended with them, but I'd see them at the cons.
Yeah, we held our local con, so
Oh God.
yeah.
Beaumont did not have that, thankfully. Beaumont does
Yeah, no,
not need a convention.
that was a whole that was a fun learning experience, but it was
Yeah.
a lot. It was a lot.
I feel like it's funny because I feel like even though we went to very different anime clubs, our anime clubs watched very similar anime.
Yes, well, yes and no, because like we have like a lot of like we have like we'd watch anime and then we would watch like things people would throw on the board.
Mm-hmm.
People either threw shit at the board or it was like two people being like, I'm overriding everything and we're watching this.
See,
Um
they had a poll for what animes would be watched. That was generally decided the week before.
mhm.
But they would also once a month they would do like a game of some sort that was anime related. So they would have 3 weeks of anime watching a month, and then 1 week of just like some anime bingo or quiz or something or other.
Yeah, we had so the club has changed since I went there, but when I was going, we essentially picked 4 shows from like the previous season or previous 2 seasons, depending on like what part of the year it was.
Mm-hmm.
And we would watch those shows every single like we would watch the next episodes. There was one show we'd always pick two up, like the long running show.
Yeah.
If it, especially if it was from summer, we would pick 2 episodes.
Okay.
So we'd watch 2 episodes of that one and everything else is one. And then but in the middle of it, we would do a break and we would do an activity.
Okay.
And then after we finished watching all the anime, people would still be around. So sometimes they'd throw on like a wild card anime or we'd watch weird YouTube videos and stuff. We watch some really fucked up YouTube videos and fucked up anime. Um, and yeah, because it's college. If it's like high school anime club, you don't watch messed up shit. You have to watch things that are still like close to school appropriate.
Right.
Yeah, no, it was just like I good thing like the guy who runs the university didn't walk by anime club at all because my god, that club would have got shut down so fast.
Oh, I bet.
So
Yeah.
even though they make them a lot of money, like because our convention at the university was one of the #1 grossing events on campus.
Not surprised. Anime fans will throw a lot of fucking money just so they can go to a location altogether.
Yeah, they like our convention. I remember for people who worked there, those were blackout dates.
Yeah.
They were like, no, you cannot request off unless you were part of the club running it. Then my god,
Right.
please save us.
Again, Beaumont did not need an anime convention. They did end up getting a like comic book convention after I left, but it didn't go that well. Like it was run by decent people. It's just it's not the best city to throw something like that in. So it's supposedly getting better, I guess. But nobody wants to go to Beaumont. Like nobody wants to go there out of town to do anything. People would rather go to a bigger city and like, okay, well at least like we're safe here ish. Like not that Houston's that much safer, but feels safer in a big town that has a high crime rate than a small town that has a higher crime rate.
Yeah, I'm glad that we were just in the middle of fucking nowhere. Like we were literally surrounded by cornfields. Like people were like, "Oh, we're gonna travel to go to this con, and then we can do something else." There was nothing else to do. It was a college town that had college bars, and most people who went to the con were high schoolers. So it was just
Oh
like,
my god.
yeah, there's nothing here for you. It's the con and the campus, and that's it. It's otherwise it's all bars.
Yeah.
Good luck.
All right. What's your manga Shinigami?
Um, so this is not the series pick, but do you remember Rosario Vampire?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the author recently is working on a new work called Ghost Reaper Girl.
Okay.
Now, I have only read the first volume. I have enjoyed it though. But essentially it is this girl, she like wants to be an idol whatever, and she kind of has this run-in with this guy and she ends up like getting the power to like reap ghosts. She makes a deal with him because she wants to keep being an idol, and the deal is that she has to help him like hunt ghosts. And with that, she's able to like stay alive and try to still do the work as an idol. But essentially, she has to be like a ghost reaper first.
Okay.
So, or like she has like a weird body type. Like there's more to it or whatnot because it's definitely scaring ecchi still, which is weird because I'm not normally like a fan of ecchi stuff.
Yeah.
But I like this author and their writing because their art A is beautiful, and B like they write ecchi in a way that I think is a little bit more tasteful. I like it's not so much in your face ecchi. It's like ecchi with plot versus like ecchi. Granted, you still get like the roll your eye, like okay, this is the ecchi scene, but it's not like as making me want to throw up as
Right.
other ecchi does sometimes. So I really enjoy it. I think it's really good, but it's really cool. Like she kind of like is able to manifest. It's almost kind of like a soul eater vibe with him. Because I think because he's like he himself is a spirit, and I think she uses his spirit as like a weapon to hunt down these other ghosts and things like that. So, but like she hunts down these ghosts, and they try to tame him or something like that.
Right.
They do go away after they catch them. So, it's not like it's not very monster of the week or anything like that. It is like an ongoing story.
Right.
But it's pretty good.
Okay.
So, it's like it has like 3 volumes out currently. You can read it all on like the Shonen Jump app. One thing to know if you ever do check this out, it is a manga that is published in Western style.
Oh, so it reads backwards.
Yeah, it reads backwards from manga, correct?
Yeah.
But
Okay.
that is at the request of the author.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's not like Viz Media or anything. It is the author who's like, in the West, I need this to be published the opposite way.
That's so weird. Like
It's so hard to read too because you're like you get ready to read it and you're like, Wait, wait, wait. God, it's so. I don't think they realize they realize that this is what they did to everyone.
Yeah, because
And I think that's also part of the reason why it hasn't picked up too much traction. But it's enough traction that people are buying it.
yeah, because that's something that always throws me off. Because as someone that reads comics as well, going back and forth between comics and manga was so difficult when I used to still read manga more often, or at least
Oh
try
yeah.
to. Because I'd be reading a few books of comics and then I'd go to a manga and I'm like, wait, hold on, how do I do this? I don't remember the order. Um,
That's why I like jumping between webtoons and manga because webtoons it's just up to down. So it's like I can do that. I don't gotta read like sideways or I just go up and down. I can do that. I don't unless you find a webtoon that's down the up, then I'll be lost. I'm sorry.
no, I don't know because I don't know if I'd ever get into webtoons simply because one of the big things I do like about manga that and this says a lot and this goes along with the quality of isekai going down because I don't have a lot where I prefer things for manga, but I love when manga has a panel that takes up both pages.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I love when it's like, okay, you get to a big scene happens and you just turn the page and it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a thing. That's important. Good to know. I enjoy that little bit of
The
it.
full page spread, like that moment, like of
Yeah, it's like the what's the porno mag equivalent of like you the full page spread and you turn it sideways and you just like check it up and down except you don't turn it sideways.
I sometimes you do,
Yeah, you could, I guess. Um,
depending on the series.
yeah. So
No,
what?
I like reading manga digitally. You lose that because you only see like half the
I
page.
know.
So like I like reading it digitally because it's just like at my fingertips, but I also hate it because I want that full spread moment. And when you get that full spread moment in like a manga reading app, you're
Mm-hmm.
like sometimes you don't even realize that it is like a full page spread because you're like you see some detail on one page and you haven't got the second page to see it's like connected
Yeah.
yet. So you're like, oh shit, this would be cool if you would let me see it on the same page.
Yeah.
So,
D and
but
Angel has quite a few of those with like the full
oh,
page presence. It's so good.
oh yeah.
God.
That reminds me, I gotta continue reading D and Angel. I read volume one like a year ago, and it was really good, and I wanted to read more.
It's one of those weird ones because I originally or watched the anime and then I eventually started getting the manga and I went ahead and read the manga and the anime and the manga are so different and I love them equally.
Mm-hmm.
I think I like the anime more just because it's anime, but like
Yeah.
they're so fucking different from the very get go. It's not even like oh well it slowly branches off. Like no, they straight off went in with a completely different swing for the anime, which is kind of cool in its own way and it works. But
Yes. Oh gosh, no, D and Angel. God, that was like I walked into it. I'm like, oh, okay, like this is a classic, and then I'm like, oh shit, it's a classic that plays into one of my favorite tropes.
it's
I need
good.
to go back and read it because I really liked the tropes in it. So
Yeah. Should we do a vibe check?
yeah, we can do a vibe check.
I'm torn on this one because I wrote down all my vibe checks from the previous episodes, and I don't have this one written down, but I know I've thought about it before. So I don't know if I've talked about this before, actually, as a vibe check. But Tokyo Revengers season 2.
Yes.
Because I recently don't ask me why I decided to go ahead and rewatch Tokyo Revengers season 2 after sitting through it week to week. I rewatched it all, and I'm crying still on the last episode.
I don't know where the anime ended.
The anime ended where they met up with Mikey in the Philippines with his black hair and his tank top, and that entire scene plays out, and it leaves on that cliffhanger.
Oh! Fuck, that's where I left off. Oh my god, I need the
Yeah,
So I
that's
need to at least watch that clip.
that's the cliffhanger you left off on. So I
Yeah.
know.
Yep.
I was so angry. I was like, when I watched that initially, I was like, I did not expect that, and that's why I think I kind of wanted to go back and rewatch it because I wanted to see if there was stuff that led up to that, and there is. There's definitely stuff that leads up to it and it builds up to it. And I'm like, oh wow, I didn't see that before. But yeah, again, I would like to reiterate Mikey with the short black hair and the tank top.
Yep.
I have a thing. Okay, in real life, I don't know why, and I've always referred to this as my the no good look of I like guys in the tank top with the open button up shirts on top. That's just my style taste in men, and seeing that on Mikey, goddamn. But also seeing that final fucking scene, and then realizing the safety on the gun was off or was on, that hurt me. That hurt me so hard.
That. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
That's where my heart's at.
Man, like hearing you get so excited over Tokyo Revengers makes me feel like so good inside. Until I remember certain things, and I'm like, God damn.
I feel like this is gonna be one of those things where I'm gonna probably enjoy the ending, and then I'm just gonna be so hyped about it regardless. I don't see how they can end this and me not be okay with it, because I also just don't have a lot of problems with a lot of endings that most people have problems with. So
Well, I don't normally have a problem with endings that a lot of people have a problem with either. I just I won't say anything about it because I don't want to give you any information. But I will say, like, everything leading up to that point was absolutely fantastic, though. So it's like, I like hearing about it because I'm like, oh my god, I remember. Oh god, it was so fun reading that. So fun, like, going and experiencing it. So I'm like,
yeah.
oh god, so good.
What's your vibe check?
So, it, bear with me.
Oh
Bear with
god.
me, Cyan.
Oh god.
So I have been reading. I've been reading this on Webtoon actually, so it's more of like a manhwa, and it is The First Night with the Duke.
And I've seen this advertised.
You have?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm reading it, and I really like it. I really want to see where it goes. Because essentially it's about this girl who who suddenly wakes up and no, she doesn't die or anything. She just suddenly wakes up and she is like this. She's just suddenly like this, like I forgot what her role is. She wakes up as this like noble girl, like this unknown noble girl, and she's just like, this is weird. What's going on? And she realizes that she's like in her like favorite book that she was like that she was reading. She's like, oh my god, I love this book. I love this so much. I'm invited to this ball and I want to see all the characters and everything. And I'm not even a character mentioned in the book. So like, I don't even matter. And so she's just like, I'm just going to live my life to the fullest and da 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 da. So she goes to the party. She's living her best life. And she's like, I am rich. I can eat all I want. I can read all I want. And she gets like, starts like mixing some alcohol together. And then she wakes up. She's in bed with the main male protagonist.
Oh my god.
They fucked. And he's like, I am in love with you. And she's like, hold up, this is not what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to fall in love with that girl, not me. And so she's like, no, the book has to happen. So she's trying to make this book happen. And he's like hopelessly in love with her. And she knows everything about everyone and everything. And then she's realizing, like, as the story progresses, like, now that this has happened, she has changed the complete progress of whatever story, what was going to happen. And so now she has to, like, navigate with this knowledge, like, this new timeline, essentially, that she has created. And I wouldn't say it's an isekai, because even though she's transported there is stuff that ties in later, where you're like, oh, no, it's not just... It's not an isekai. There's an element to it where, yes, well, she's brought into this world. There is an element where she could be brought back.
Okay.
So, but at the same time, it's not like she's just trying to live her best life, man. She just wants to live and just like, and she has like her own stuff, like her own traumas too that she overcomes and helps people come over. Like, it's good. I'm not done with it yet, but I have been sitting through ads so I could read an extra chapter a day because it's on that stupid single pass. And I'm so pissed about that. I am so mad. I'm like, I just want to read it. I actually like bought coins so I could at least unlock a good chunk of it. Because I got so annoyed. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna fucking buy coins so I can at least read a chunk of it because this is killing me. So I read like 20 chapters one day.
Yeah.
And I was very happy. I was like, okay, I made some solid progress. Thank you. It was also like really good right then.
Right.
But now I'm like, okay, I'm winding down. Like I'm getting towards the end, so I'm like, okay, I will cool off, but I still will watch my 2 ads a day to get my 2 extra chapters. So until I finish it, I will be reading 3 chapters a day.
Oh my god.
But no, it's been very enjoyable. I really like it. I think it's very funny. It's very simple. I like romance, and the male lead is pretty hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. And I think like the main character, she's very not necessarily relatable, but she's just very real.
I was gonna say, like, imagine a romance story where the main dude isn't really hot, but then I realized that actually did happen, so I can't say that anymore. My love story exists.
Yes, it does. I love it.
You would.
Oh my god. Did I already tell this story, or did I tell you about this? About my experience of my love story?
I don't think I've ever heard it, so I don't think we've ever talked about it.
So we watched this in anime club.
This hurts me simply on the fact that this would have my love story feels like a very new anime to me still. But continue.
Yeah, it had come out. Yeah, we were because it had come out. We were watching week to week because it come out recently. And mind you, it was a hoot. Everyone loved it, and I was very happy they loved it. But there was a guy in our anime club. He is a sweetheart, but he was built just like the main male lead.
Oh my god,
Takeo, and we called them Takeo. And like they took it with pride. They weren't ugly or anything. Like they were like they had like a nice face, and like they were just built like they were built to be like Takeo, and like kind of had like a pure personality like him too. So it worked out. But like we all called him Takeo.
Oh my gosh.
No one knew his name. We just knew him as Takeo.
Oh
that
no.
was the main male lead's character's name. So I will never forget their name because it's Takeo. And so so still today, whenever I think about them, I'm like, oh yeah, Takeo. I can't remember his name at all.
Poor dude.
For the life of me. Still, even though it's been told to me multiple times, I have them probably added on social media. They're just Takeo, and they will forever be Takeo.
He just changes his Facebook profile name to Takeo and just accepts it.
I think they said it as like their Facebook nickname one time. Because literally everyone called him that. But like, granted, like we weren't. He consented to it. It's not like we were bullying him.
Yeah.
Like if he didn't like embrace that or like yeah, no one would have called him that. So
I feel like that's on par with the friend that I called daddy for like a year and a half. Had to stop doing that after meeting his mom and almost calling him daddy right in front of her.
Oh yeah, that would have led to a lot of weird situations.
So mad about that because it was I'll tell this story because I don't think I'm gonna do it on the podcast. I had a friend who was from the cosplay scene, and he cosplayed the dad of like most of my friends' cosplays. Like he cosplayed as Tai Yang from Ruby, and they cosplayed Ruby and Yang. So he was daddy basically. And that's how he was introduced to me as like, oh, this is daddy. And that stuck with me. I don't know why nickname stuck with me. I don't know why that stuck with me so hard. His name was not a difficult name to remember, but that stuck with me for a fucking year. And I added him on Facebook, and I saw his name on Facebook, and I was like, I don't know how to pronounce that because his actual name is long and kind of difficult, but you know, the shortened version's easy to say, whatever. But I never remembered it. He was just daddy. And then one day I come to his city to I was coming out here for some reason. I don't remember what it was. And he's like, "Yeah, stop by when you have a chance, and we'll go grab food or something before you have your other plans." I'm like, "Okay." So I show up at his apartment, and I call him to let me in because it's like a fancy apartment where I can't get in the front door. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'll be right down. My mom's here." And in my brain's like, "Your mother's here. I'm about to meet your mother, and I don't know your name. How do I ask you your name in front of your mother? How do I ask somebody their name that I've known for a year and a half? How do I do this?" And then I sit there and I end up having a conversation with his mom for like 30, 40 minutes. She's really fucking nice lady. Really chill. I don't know how I survived that conversation. And then after his mom leaves, and I'm like, "What the fuck is your name?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, You realize all I've called you for the past year is daddy, right?" He's like, "You don't know my actual name? You added me on Facebook." And I'm like, "I never looked, okay?"
I saw the picture and I hit add, and every time I saw your name, it just went daddy.
Yeah, I saw the profile picture and I'm like, he's like, "That is the greatest thing ever." And I'm like, "I hate it here. I absolutely hate it here." He's like, "If I would have known, I would have put you in so many awkward situations to make you like accidentally say it." And I'm like, "This is why I didn't tell you." I knew if we were on the elevator ride and I would have been like, "Hey, so I don't actually know your name and I can't call you daddy in front of your mom," you wouldn't have told me your name. You would have made me suffer with it. And you would have been laughing the entire time. Now you get to laugh after the fact and I don't have to suffer.
Yep.
So, yeah. Learn.
I just you learn a lot.
Yeah.
I just know in those situations, I just tend to like avoid any use of names ever.
Oh, I did.
And just use a lot of, yeah, that's what they.
Yeah. Yep.
They.
I did a lot of that in that conversation, which is not my normal speech pattern, so it was very difficult. What was even worse was his mom kept saying a name, and I was thinking it was in reference to him, but I was like, I know that's not his name. And it's not his name. I don't know why she calls him something that's not even his fucking name, but she calls him that pretty regularly, and I was like, I'm confused. I know this isn't her name. She keeps referring to him as this. Now I'm even more confused. Yeah. Hardest like 40-minute conversation with somebody's parents I've ever had in my life. I normally do really good with parents. That stressed me out to high hell. Anyways, back on Shinigami. So I have
You have more. It's all on you. I got no more.
Yeah. I have 2 I have watched. I have 1 I plan to watch that I'm really excited for because I've heard a lot of good things about it. And then I have 1 that I've never watched, but it's been on my plan to watch list that I feel like we should at least mention.
Okay.
So the first one that I have watched, I haven't watched in a long time, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it. It's Angel Beats.
Oh, wait. There's Shinigami and Angel Beats?
There is 1 Shinigami and Angel Beats.
I binge watched Angel Beats, so that might be why I don't remember this.
So the premise of Angel Beats for the first episode, so not spoilers, all of them are dead. They're in they're in the in-between world of the afterlife and the
Purgatory.
The yeah. Which is ironically purgatory is high school.
Yep.
But they have the student council president that they're constantly fighting that is named Angel, and they don't know why they're fighting her. They just know that whenever they lose a fight against her, somebody disappears. But them disappearing is them going on to the other world. Angel is the
Oh, yeah. Okay, and
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I get now.
Yeah,
Yep.
so kind of a Shinigami, I guess.
Kind of, yeah.
Under that umbrella, she's the guardian of that realm and whatever, and she helps push the souls over to the other side. Regardless of whatever else goes on in that series with the pop band and the backstories and the ending and all that. Like it's an okay series. It was very popular back in the day. It's a little less so now.
I think it was overhyped for me. Like,
Yeah.
everyone hyped it up so much, and then I watched it, and I was like, oh,
It's not so much one that was overhyped for me. I put it on the board of Klana though, where people not overhype, but like over exaggerate a certain like aspect of it to where
yeah.
it just becomes predictable. Because it's like, okay, well, I already know this is going to be a thing now, so thanks.
Yeah. They're like, it's so sad.
It's like, okay.
That's all you hear about it. He's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's gonna make you cry. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well,
And
if
they
you
don't
keep telling me that, I'm not going to cry.
Yeah, and they tell you specifically when it's going to make you cry, so it's like, cool, thanks. Have a good day.
I wasn't told specifically when. I was just told, oh my god, it's so sad. You're just gonna cry buckets. And then I
Yeah.
did not cry a single tear. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay. Like,
It
okay, yeah, that was a whatever. Like,
yeah.
yeah, that was sad.
It's
And I
much
cry in
better.
I cry in a lot of things. I
Yeah.
cry easily. And it didn't make me cry.
It's so much better to go into that one blind.
It is.
Which is unfortunate because a lot of things that are done like that are things that those are the ones that you would rather go in blind, but nobody
Yes.
allows it to happen, so it's fine.
Yeah. I think anything that's really emotionally jarring, it's best to go in not knowing that.
Yeah. So the other one that I have watched, or I'm actually currently watching, this one's stretching it a little bit, but I think it's fun the way it plays on it. It feels very much like a U anime.
Oh.
The Duke of Death and his maid.
Oh, I've seen that. Like that. Like I've seen that around. I haven't watched it, but I've seen it around. Is what I mean.
It's really cute. It's about a duke. He is cursed to where anything he touches dies. So he's kind of sent away to live with his a butler and a maid, and there's like this budding romance between him and his maid. And there's a lot of almost touches. And the entire trailer is them dancing together, but not actually touching. Like they'll close in on like their hands being a couple inches apart while they're dancing and such. It's really cute. Got a lot of little really cute scenes to it. It's a little depressing with the whole like he actually just can't touch her and can't touch anything without killing it. 3D animation too, which is I think is what a lot of people avoided it, but it's been good so far. I've enjoyed it.
Honestly, these days, if you're avoiding stuff for 3D animation, pretty much most things have 3D animation.
Honestly, no. Here's the fun ones. I'm not gonna watch Trigun Stampede because it's 3D animation, and 3D animation is bad when it's some of the best 3D animation that has existed to date. But I'm gonna watch Blue Lock, which has some of the worst CGI I've seen in an anime in the past decade. Which I liked Blue Lock, don't get me wrong. But there are some scenes where they threw in some CGI running where I'm like, yeah, that's hair physics. Okay, thank you. That's how that works.
Yeah, and I've seen actually a lot of like really shitty like CGI anime lately too, and I'm like, oh my god, this would have been better if it was CGI because why?
Right.
Why did they animate it like that? Like it's too it's 2D. How'd you fuck this up? Like like why is this so weird? Anyways, that's a whole other can of worms.
And then for the two that I haven't watched, the first I'm gonna start with the one that I'm not like it's not high priority to me, but I feel like we will get yelled at if we don't mention it. But it's another purgatory anime, Death Parade.
Oh, I forgot about Death Parade. Which is so weird because literally I was watching videos about people talking about Death Parade today.
And that's actually how I ended up thinking of Angel Beats was one of the YouTube reactor that does the funny commentary that I talk about all the time. He's reacting to Angel Beats right now. So I'm kind of reliving it ish. I'm trying to watch it because that video's not doing well on his channel, and he was kind of forced to watch it and react to it. So he's struggling. So I'm like, I'm gonna give you that one, dude. You, my dude. I promise. I'll rewatch the anime through you. I got you. But yeah. So that's the only reason I remember. Like, oh yeah, Angel Beats that's kind of a Shinigami. But yeah. I don't know much about Death Parade other than it's
Uh,
purgatory. So.
yeah, it's so essentially these people are sent to this like bar, and mind you, I only remember like the first few episodes because I didn't finish it, but
Mhm.
I do remember like the kind of like the first episode from a long time ago. Because again, I watched this in Anime Club. Um,
Of course.
that's my catchphrase this episode. I watched this in Anime Club, but so these people are sent to this bar, and this bar is essentially like a purgatory, but you don't really realize that at first. This isn't really this is just spoilers for like episode 1, by the way. I should have said that earlier,
Fine.
but that's fine. It's like in the synopsis.
Mhm.
So these people come to this bar, and they're like kind of talking and serving, and they're like da 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 da, and like they're at odds, and so essentially they're talking through, and they kind of are in like a death game against each other, where one of them is going to go to heaven, the other one's going to go to hell.
Okay.
So that's at least like I think that follows like kind of the same theme throughout, but like everyone's story is very different, and I think there's like things that tie in throughout.
Mhm.
I like I said, I only watched the first few episodes of it because after that I stopped paying attention, because not because I didn't like it, just because like I missed pieces, so I stopped paying attention.
Yeah.
And because I didn't want it spoiled. But it was very good. Like it was very interesting, and music's fun. I can't remember the ending theme, but I sing and dance to the opening theme every time I hear it.
Fair. It does have a really good opening. I do remember listening to that. So. But yeah, for my last one, and this has been on my plan to watch for a little bit, and I plan to pick it up in the next couple weeks actually, and it's a Shigofumi, or Letters from the Departed.
Ooh.
It's a little, again, this one's probably a little bit more of a stretch because it's not so much that they're taking lives as much as they take messages from those that have died and bring them to the living so that the living can move past the grief of the death a lot easier. So
Okay.
it's still like an entity of death in some way, but they, I guess maybe like reverse Violet Evergarden.
Okay.
But yeah, it looked really interesting. I like the premise of it, so I've been wanting to watch it for a little while, and kind of fits in a way.
Yeah, it kind of fits. It's still kind of in the same thing as like another entity is involved in the afterlife,
Yeah, yeah.
like a third party.
Mm-hmm. But then,
In the vague sense of the word that.
yeah. In the vague sense that anime makes the afterworld of whatever death
Shinigami
is.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then of course there's always like big entities. Like again, we've mentioned. All right, I've mentioned Dragon Ball having King Yanma and that god of death, and then of course I don't know if I actually mentioned Yu Yu Hakusho during the episode or if it was pre-episode.
No, you mentioned it
Okay.
right during it, because I remember you mentioned it,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, that you like. I'm not gonna remember what you said about Yu
Yeah.
Yu Hakusho unless I rewatch this episode. So I'm
Yeah.
like, this is just like enough where like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna remember this teeny detail,
It's-
because guess I already forgot the detail that you said.
It's
So
such a tiny detail, it doesn't even matter either. So nobody can yell that we missed anything. I guess maybe there might be that one zombie lone person that's gonna get mad we didn't mention that, but whatever.
I know nothing about Zombie Loan other than that I know it exists.
I know there's a not a there's a Grim Reaper character that he's like covered up in bandages and has a giant scythe weapon, and he turns into this little chibi Grim Reaper in the series, but I've never watched it. But that's about all I know. All right, I think that's that one at least.
Ooh, I do have one more thing to mention with the topic of Shinigami, actually.
Okay.
So, remember how we were watching Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju?
Yeah.
This is you've already seen what I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
So there is, whenever I think of Shinigami, I also think of this. In the first episode, the main character watches the Rakugo performer, or Yakumo, perform the story Shinigami.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a very famous Rakugo story. And that like little bit of like that story, it's just like it sits with me, man. Like the storytelling of that, and going like having death in his ear, and just ooh, like his performance of that just brings shivers down my spine. I love it so much.
Nice.
So, but it's not but like it's such a like a theme in that show.
Yeah.
So um I won't say more than that, but it's a theme.
Yeah.
So because you're watching it, I want you to watch it as blindly as you can.
Uh-huh.
So yeah.
I will also say another thing that popped up when googling Shinigami is so I can't play H.
So I can't play H.
Yep, that is an anime, and apparently there's a Shinigami in it. I have no clue. Um, there's a few. So when I was going through, making sure I wasn't missing anything, like I was going best anime Shinigami ranks, or like whatever polls, making sure like okay, I'm not overlooking anything. Some of the shit that they consider a Shinigami on a lot of these polls was just you're kind of dumb because it was literally any character with a death scythe of any kind because they had Ruby on one of these. So it was like Ruby is not a Shinigami in any way, shape, or form, but you know.
Oh no.
She does wield a death scythe, but yeah.
So I just looked up the summary for So I Can't Play H, and I've only read the first sentence and I'm already losing it.
Oh god.
On the surface, Ryosuke Kaga is the token perverted teenager,
I'm done.
spending his days ogling women and indulging in erotic reveries.
I'm done.
I just like token perverted teenager. What? Those are tokens?
Sure.
No, that's not why. That's not why I think it's funny, but I'm just like that phrase. I'm just
Oh my god.
oh my god.
Lord. But yeah, no, they listed a couple of things like gate, and I don't know much about that either. And I'm like, I don't trust websites that say, "Oh, we're an anime website that does all anime stuff," and you literally list things that just have you have a Ruby as your fucking this is a Shinigami. It's
I
also
also
really hard to just Google Shinigami and not just get Bleach or Death Note.
yeah, it pretty much is. It's just that's all you see.
They also had one when listing the top 20 Shinigami of all time. They had like a bunch of Bleach characters, but they in Death Note they didn't even list Ryuk or Rim. They listed Light Yagami as the number 2 best Shinigami in anime.
But he's it's just a fan theory.
I know.
This is not that's like not even canon.
I know. You know what would be a fun episode? This is a side, but
Oh yeah.
what if we just went through, found some of the worst or weirdest like rankings on the internet, and just decided to like share them with each other? Go to all the like.
I feel like what would trigger you and what would trigger me might be very different.
But I know quite a few that would trigger you that I guarantee I could find.
I could probably find some that would trigger you as well. I think honestly, you just have to go to cbr.com, and if they had a random article generator, I guarantee it would make us cringe.
Yeah. I mean, we could put like a specific thing on there, like okay, go through the best anime of all times from different websites, or which is probably going to be the same like 5 anime over and over again, but we could do something with it, I'm sure, at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure we can figure something out. Yeah.
Explore the cringy interwebs taste in anime. That side, do you want to take us out of here?
Yeah, so I am Shio, and this is Cyan. You've been listening to Rice Ball Conflict. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcast. You can also find us on Twitter. We do have a TikTok that we once in a while upload to.
More coming.
Uh,
They're with the editor right now.
yeah, which was I really like that. It was good, and I forgot to tell you that it was good. Um,
I was like, okay, you have no opinion. I'm posting it anyway.
you're good. um, and yeah, and you can also find us on our personal Twitters where we tweet shit. I think we both stream on Twitch. We both have YouTube channels that are criminally under uploaded.
I'm uploading on
Um,
mine. I've made
well,
progress.
I got a video recorded. That's progress, but not edited, so it's fine.
I've been uploading my VODs.
Heck yeah, I have to have VODs to do that.
Yeah, I have a Persona 4 Golden is currently on my thing. Oh, actually, so I was thinking of doing little shorts, which I hate that these might actually go on TikTok and not YouTube because
Oh yeah.
I was thinking of doing like quick little reactions to anime that I'm watching.
Ooh.
Just quick little like, yeah, this anime sucks, and here's why I think that, or I love this anime, you should be watching this, or like just little quick little things. But I think that might go on TikTok just because they're not going to be long enough or edited enough to go on YouTube.
I think that's great for you just because if it was me, I'd be like, yeah, this series, here's what it's about. And this is why you will probably like it because you would probably like XYZ. And I would just not say anything bad because I don't want.
Actually, can I promote my war that I'm wanting to start real quick? Am I allowed to do that?
I mean, I'm worried, but go for it.
If you say no afterwards, I'll edit this out. So I want to start a war on my anime list. For
I'm down for that.
Yeah, for not My Hero Academia, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Because I am really getting sick of like every couple months getting, oh, this anime is the best thing ever. It's the first thing to actually dethrone Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood on Mal, so it's got to be the best thing ever, even though it only stays up there for like a day because the Mal fandom for Full Metal Alchemist just downvotes it to oblivion. And they have done that repeatedly with Attack on Titan, Fruits Basket, Kaguya-sama, Gintama, multiple
They did
seasons.
it with Oshinoko too.
Yeah.
I know you don't want to hear that, but yeah, they did it with Oshinoko
Which
too.
Oshinoko is the main one. That's like the latest one where I was seeing articles of like Oshinoko is the best thing to ever happen because it's overtook Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and it's the first time that's happened in a decade. And I'm like, you are fucking lying. Like,
nope.
So they actually had it was Attack on Titan season 3, I believe, where the Attack on Titan fandom actually tried to do this, and downvote Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood because if you look, there's you can find videos of like the trends of my anime list, top anime or whatever, but you can see it gets downvoted straight off of the top like 25 so quickly. Like it rises up there and is so far beyond Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and then it just disappears. It drops off the face of the earth. And then it starts rising again, and then you see Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood get dropped off, and then it magically pops up at the top. And it's because Mal actually went down there and said it was a glitch in their system or a bug in their system, and said, "Oh, we just fixed it." But that was because people were making alt accounts to downvote it.
Yep.
And that's when they're gonna like have their problem. That's why the interspecies reviewers thing didn't take off, because people were making false accounts to upvote it. But we don't need people to make false accounts to get Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood taken down a peg. Just do it on your main account.
I'm laughing because with that same thing, so Fruits Basket final season overtook FMA Brotherhood, and I remember because it got downvoted so fast, they were able to spot all the alts and bots because they only put the final season on their list. How did you watch the final season without watching the first 2 seasons? So immediately they were able to like find all of them, and a lot of them got taken down. which is why like it held it for like it still stayed up there because they were able to take down so many accounts.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of ratings fluctuated that day. It was really funny.
Yeah. But like if
It still ended up getting voted down overall, but it was it was
yeah,
like assholes.
really. But yeah, so it doesn't take much. I'm not telling you to make a false account. I'm not telling you to make a fake
Yeah.
account to go on there. But if you have watched Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, if you are that hard set and don't want to have fun and like, oh my god, but my perfect rating of all my anime, if that's how you are, then you need to go somewhere else because you're no fun. But if you want to actually see some revenge happen, for if you're a fan of any of these fandoms, go vote, like go downvote Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood on your main My Anime List accounts to as low as you're willing to do. I'll say go for a 1, but if you don't want to go for a 1, then yeah, I'll settle for a 4.
Dude, even if like a huge group of people just took it down one
Mm-hmm.
from their score, that would take it down a lot. If
It
a
really
large
would.
group of people did it, it
Yeah.
would be.
Because it's kind of ridiculous at this point. And like the worst, like what's going to happen is either My Anime List is going to show its bias and try and fix it again, which they can't really do if you don't make bot accounts. If you don't make bot accounts to do it, or fake accounts, like they can't really fix it. Or the My Hero Academia, why do I keep calling them My Hero Academia fans? Full Metal Alchemist fans are going to lose their shit and just start downvoting everything, and then the entire scaling system goes to like high hell, which would still be kind of funny to watch.
Well, it's already to high hell. That's kind of why I jump shipped from my anime list because I used to use only my anime list, and I jump shipped from it entirely because I wasn't getting like accurate ratings or information anymore. It was
Yeah.
all skewed to a certain way because of how certain people were voting and how they were voting on purpose.
Yeah.
Because how things ranked apparently now mattered on the site, so people rigged it. And
Yeah.
so now I'm like, okay, I'm going to use a different site where the ranking is genuine and it doesn't fucking matter.
Well, I still like, even looking at AniList voting or thing. So one, I don't like the point system to begin with. Like, I don't understand why you would put a 0.5 on a 1 to 10 scale. Just make it a bigger scale then. Like, just
They had that option as well.
Yeah, but most people still don't use it. But like, it's still like, don't give me an option to change it. As well, have a set scale. Have a set scale that is universal, because otherwise voting becomes skewed. Because if you're doing 1 to 100 versus 1 to 10 with a point scale, your voting's still going to be slightly different, just because the way people's brains work with numbers. But that being said, most people think voting anything below a 7 is bad. So
That's me. That's me. That's me. That's me.
voting something a 6 does not make it bad. Voting something a 5 does not make it bad. I have a lot of things that are like, I voted 5 on my anime. Some people are like, oh, I didn't know you didn't like it. I'm like, I didn't dislike it. It's good. It literally, because I like Mal system because they have the 1 to 10 and then they have a word next to it that tells you what it's supposed to be, and 5 is good. 5 is literally good. That's why, like, when I say, because I'll say, yeah, the anime wasn't very good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's not good. Like,
it's so funny because I'll put stuff like that I watched, and like it's like more like I watched it. Take how to leave it. That's my 5s.
oh,
That's my. But anything below a 5 is like, no man, no, this was horseshit.
Yeah, no. Because like, I have Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood rated at a 4, and I have it rated as a 4 in genuine rating. It's not because like, oh, like I greatly don't think Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood stands well on its own because of the way the beginning is. I can go into that a whole other time. But it's not because I think it's like horseshit. I don't think it's a horrible anime. I just think it doesn't stand well on its own because the beginning is rushed. But I have it rated a 4. It's not like I have it rated a 1. I have Cowboy Bebop rated a 1.
I mean, I have Yuri on Ice rated as a 1.
I have Boku no Pico rated a 2.
What else do I have? I have Rito of Healer as 1 as well.
And
Be-
Video Healer.
Yeah.
Better than Oshinoko. Best revenge story.
No.
Yeah.
No. 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 Radio Healer belongs in number 1.
Video Healer is amazing. It has a dedicated fan base.
A dedicated fan base of Cyan.
Oh, actually has a rather. It is actually really popular.
I know. I'm being facetious.
God, the amount of manga volumes it sells is wild.
Don't remind me.
Alright, we can end this episode now. I just wanted to...
I just end on don't remind me. End episode. Is that the end then?
We can end it.
Okay.